Hello, my name is Chris Barnes, and I'm a current Eden on EOS Chief Delegate. I've been working with many other dedicated Eden members on the Eden Smart Proxy, an initiative to change the way block producers are selected on EOS. I hope you enjoy the presentation. The Eden Smart Proxy is very simple. It provides stable, low-risk APR for token holders. It reduces liability risk for exchanges and large token holders, and block producers will simply have more income. This will take place in 3 simple steps. First, token holders will stake and delegate their EOS. Then the APR will be implemented, which is something that the top 21 block producers will have to approve via an MSEG. And lastly, token holders will receive that APR. If you stake early, there's a great chance you'll get more APR than if you join the party later. The way this happens is because there is a fixed amount of network inflation that is being proposed to be directed to the stakers of this particular proxy. So as you can see in this chart, if there are less tokens being allocated to the proxy, they will receive more of their respective APR. For example, if you have 150 million tokens staked to the proxy, that is around 7.5% APR. If by some miracle we're able to achieve huge success with nearly half of all circulating tokens, which is around 500 million EOS staked to this proxy, APR for each token holder would still be roughly 2.3%. The Eden Smart Proxy is basically these 5 aspects. It is an APR yielding proxy for staked EOS tokens. It leverages a community-created block producer whitelist. The Eden community can then vote to rank the whitelisted BPs to receive the vote from the proxy. It then votes for block producers based on the ranking achieved from how Eden members vote. And finally, it will direct as proposed 1.05% of network inflation to the stakers. We can see here 2 separate ways in which token reward distribution can be viewed. The current mechanism, we have token holders on the left, and this includes large exchanges, large whales, and even just the average token holder like you and I. Token holders will stake their EOS and vote for block producers. The block producers then execute governance decisions, hopefully by the will of the token holders who vote for them. The network then pays the block producers for their work as producing blocks. And finally, the block producers are paying for the votes back to the token holders. It's a nice clean circle. However, the key here is to notice that block producers are directly paying for the votes to the token holder. In the new proposed system of the Eden Smart Proxy, token holders again hold their EOS and they stake that EOS to the Eden Smart Proxy. The Eden Smart Proxy, through the mechanism of utilizing the Eden on EOS community and the whitelist, vote for block producers. The block producers then again produce blocks and execute governance decisions based on the will of the token holders. However, here the network is paying the block producers directly as they currently do, but they're also paying the token holders. That is a very big difference where no longer are block producers being expected to pay for the votes directly, and instead the network is rewarding token holders directly. This also creates an arm's distance length between the token holder and the block producer who executes governance decisions. This is very important when we consider the liability reduction incentive that exchanges have, where they really don't want to take part in governance on public blockchains. They just want to stake their tokens and receive an APR. Additionally, this is actually a non-contractual opportunity for exchanges to have this type of relationship. They don't require a broker or a middleman that has a contract associated to then uphold that proxying of votes. Instead, they just directly use a system contract to stake and proxy away with no actual tangible contract with a third party required. Here we can see the community-driven aspect of this Eden Smart Proxy. The Eden Smart Proxy is, as mentioned previously, broken into a few main aspects. It will manage and appoint the whitelisting service. It will provide the list of BPs from that service to the Eden community, and the Eden community then will rank those whitelisted BPs. This is very important if we consider that proxies today, which could change, only are permitted to vote for 30 block producers. So in the event there are 35 or 40 or 50 block producers who have signed up to this initiative and are maintaining their status within the whitelisting criteria, only 30 can receive the vote of the proxy itself. So how do we select that 30? Well, we allow the Sybil-checked participating Eden members from a global Eden community to rank those block producers, and those are the ones that receive the vote. One of the things I think that could be considered and something we should open our minds to is, should a proxy be allowed to vote for more than just 30 block producers? There are far more than 30 valued and contributing block producers in our ecosystem. So this is a bit limiting and a bit of a restriction that we're certainly very aware of, that there are potential solutions to. What's in it for the block producers? Well, simply, they will make more money. The big incentive here is that block producers who are currently paying 80 to 120% of their block producer reward back to token holders directly. That leaves very, very minimal revenue for them to actually operate a business and provide the best quality service and value add to the network itself. So here we can see Graymass, an extremely valued contributor of our ecosystem. At the time of this snapshot, they were in the 20th place. If we assume that they're paying 80% of their BP reward back to token holders, that means they're roughly only receiving 177 EOS a day to run their operation. And as we know, Graymass does provide a lot in terms of what they do. If they sign up to the Eden Smart Proxy, they no longer need to pay for votes. If the Eden Smart Proxy achieves enough stake and enough token holders proxy their votes to it, and they end up in the 20th spot again, they will then be able to keep 521 EOS a day to put towards the services and the products that they offer and run. And you can see EOS Authority in 30th place, and even most markedly, as we look at the lower ranked block producers, EOS Amsterdam, an incredibly valued contributor. At the time of this, they were in the 55th spot, making 37 EOS a day. They sign up for the Eden Smart Proxy. We have sufficient stake to put them as well into the 55th spot, hopefully higher. They get to keep all of their reward, which is 185 EOS a day. If we consider the importance of decentralizing the value creators and the generators of value for our network, each block producer with more revenue actually decentralizes who creates the value. Now, each block producer can independently decide what they want to do with their extra reward and now contribute value to the network, which really was the ethos and how EOS was launched in the first place. Each BP was meant to solicit votes from the community, and they do that based on the individual value that they provide back to the network. Due to this reduction in money that they get to keep, they can't provide as much value. So that is basically centralizing the value creation to where the money is actually going. And it's not to the block producers, where many of us feel that they actually have the opportunity. They know the network better than anyone, and they can provide arguably the most value, especially in terms of infrastructure and just network advancement. The BP whitelisting criteria is fundamental in the Eden Smart Proxy and the integrity and accountability and transparency that we're looking to achieve from our block producers. We expect that block producers will not engage in any form of bribe. That means they can't buy, sell, or trade votes with token holders. Instead, they're just meant to collect the vote, produce the blocks, and collect their reward and provide value back to the network. Second is we expect our block producers to provide regular reports on finances and operations. It could be quarterly, it could be monthly, but the bottom line is we expect the block producers to be very transparent and forthcoming with their use of funds received from the network. Now, we know that we can't really stop backdoor deals and block producers doing something that isn't on-chain, because that's really, we only have visibility to on-chain. But what we can do is look at the disclosure from block producers to attempt to ensure that the money and the reward they are receiving as a block producer from the network is going towards value creation. And so we expect that block producers will do as much of their transactions as possible on-chain and not just taking the reward and sending it directly to an exchange where now it obfuscates all of the information that we expect to see to demonstrate transparency. This is a blockchain after all, so we need to use it. We expect block producers to only run one actual node. So that means no more sock puppets. EOS has a problem where a lot of network inflation is being siphoned out by these sock puppet block producers, who are basically duplicate entities of the same team or same organization, and thereby extracting more value from the network itself. So we expect block producers to only run one set of infrastructure and nodes, and that thereby removing more of these sock puppets who are extracting value unnecessarily. Finally, just to summarize this, the token holder, you receive a risk-free non-custodial APR. And non-custodial means that you don't have to stake to a third-party DeFi application and actually lose custody of your tokens. You're using the system contract staking mechanism to stake your tokens, which you still retain possession of and yet can receive APR. Exchanges will reduce their liability risk. This is something that is often overlooked right now in the sort of the landscape of proof of stake and delegated proof of stake, where exchanges are under much more of the microscope of regulators. And so basically, if they are able to reduce their liability by creating an arm's length distance between themselves as a token holder and then selecting the BPs who execute governance decisions, they're going to reduce their liability in the governance decisions those block producers make. Next, block producers will receive free votes, and that just simply speaks to increased income. If they're not paying for those votes, they will make more money. And if BPs make more money, they can create more value for the network. And of course, the biggest beneficiary of all of this is the network itself. If we consider the EOS network as its own sentient being, what does the EOS network want for itself? Well, it's going to want custodians, large stakeholders, and large token holders to participate in governance, and it's willing to reward them for that fact. The network also wants its block producers, its spine, those who are running the infrastructure that maintain the blockchain itself, to be as transparent, have the most integrity, and the most accountability as possible to the token holders. This landscape and this layout in the Eden Smart Proxy will provide exactly that. How do you get involved? Well, it's basically as a token holder or a large custodian, you stake your EOS to the proxy. If you follow along, probably below this video or somewhere, there's going to be a link to a website where you have a single button option to basically launch your Anchor or whatever your wallet is and stake your tokens to this proxy. It's that easy. A block producer simply will become more transparent and accountable via the whitelist. They will confirm the MSIG to redirect inflation to the token holders and custodians, and the system will run as anticipated. Finally, the Eden on EOS community, first of all, has to grow. We need this Eden on EOS community to be a global community that's represented by all major languages, not just the English community. This is very important to us. And that community will come together in a coalition of Edens to manage the whitelisting service. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you've appreciated what we've done here and participate in the Eden Smart Proxy.